Yep.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening. We're here.
I'm rehearsing the hot and spicy sex talk. Good evening.
Wow.
Welcome here again.
Today is Tuesday. Seems like we're going to spend this whole week talking about sex.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it. I love sex.
It's so broad, and we just can't. You say what?
Nothing.
We just can't jump into maybe the act. There's just a lot around it. Health issues, the real act, there's romance to talk about. We already talked about flirting. There's just a lot to talk about sex. And it's such a big issue. Godly sex is a big issue. Perverted sex is a big issue. It's just big. So we need to talk about it extensively without fear or favor, without shame, no holds. We're going to talk about everything. Everything. I mean everything. So,
No.
Somewhat.
Scriptures.
Well, yeah, when we get there. So we're here. We'll go straight into it, and don't forget Sunday worship live. After all the sex stuff, we're just going to ease up and just worship and allow God take control. Yes. So today we're talking about communication. That's what we are focusing on. Sex talk, communication. How do you talk about sex?
Let me hear you down.
Yes. How do you talk about sex? Do you talk about sex with your partner, or maybe you're from conservative Christian background where if you talk about sex, it looks like you're trashy or you're a tramp, or it just feels like no. But you should talk about sex with your spouse, with your husband. Even some of the things that we refuse to talk about. Some of the things that we refuse to talk about when we're courting and we're dating, it's affecting us now. One of the things that you should talk about is sex. Likes and not likes. You don't let it get hot and steamy where you no longer can hold yourself, and then no, that's not what we mean. But talk about it. Talk about it. What you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, what you consider perversion, and what perversion really is. If you have deeper questions, you can take counsel together, talk to someone more mature about sex in marriage. That's if you're not yet married. But now that you're married, do you talk about it? If you don't talk about it, something is wrong. I don't know why, as a husband and wife, we cannot freely talk about our sex. So many people are suffering in silence because they feel if I ask him to touch me like this, if I ask him to turn around like that, if I ask him to do this style or that, he will look at me like, I thought you were pastor's kid. I thought you were, some people who are from conservative backgrounds find it really hard. But no, now that you're married, you need to talk about it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. You have to. How do you talk about sex together? I know sometimes with the mistake we also make, especially the ladies, the men don't like it. They want to talk when it's time for action.
Okay.
So you want to talk about it when it's time for action. It's something that you should make our time and talk about before action time. Yes, because what he's used to now is fire down in the night. He wants to sleep, or two of you are tired. He's tired. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to get into that when we get into the real act. You shouldn't even wear yourself out. You should prepare yourself. Both parties have a lot to do in communication. That's the non-verbal. How you prepare yourself for sex. And it doesn't have to be in the night when you want to sleep. Days where you're not going to work, can be in the morning, can be in the night, can be any time. But you have to prepare yourself so that you don't always get, I'm tired, I'm not in the mood, I have headache, and all those things. Your partner is getting frustrated by your excuses. Yes. And it happens a lot with the men, because men can just get up. Even if he's tired, really, really tired. Especially if he's not above 40, where when he's tired, he's really tired. He can't even, when he's still virile. Even if he's tired, once he just sees bare breasts, he can get erect and he wants to just go and go. The ladies are not like that, you know. So when he wants to do that and then you go, you're tired, you just begin to frustrate him. So communication is compulsory, verbal and non-verbal. Now let's talk about verbal. How do you talk about it with your partner? How do you talk? You know, let's read a few things. Talking about your sex life together can be difficult. It can. The writer says they have counseled so many couples who have never really talked about sex. They may like or dislike what is happening, but they never share their thoughts. Yet it is very essential. It is important to share your needs, wants, and desires. It is speaking your truth. You are each other's only sexual outlet. And if sex is to be everything God designed it to be in your marriage, you can't just roll the dice and hope it works. You can't just hope it works. It's such a big deal. We said it yesterday. Sex is the height of physical pleasure. There's nothing as pleasurable as sex as long as humanity is concerned. That's how God designed it. It's the height of, you know, physical pleasure. You know, that time when you climax, when you orgasm, that's another thing. You know, because we find it hard to talk about, we discovered that there are many ladies who don't know what it means to orgasm.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Who don't know what it means to climax.
Actually, they should know it's the
yes.
truth. People have actually called, sent messages and said, we don't know what you're talking about. What
exactly.
does it mean?
They don't know what orgasm and climax is about. They don't
married
know.
For years.
It's an English word. They don't know what it means. And God help you if you fall into temptation and you meet some man who is not your husband and he gets you to orgasm. Are you going to go back to your husband? You're just going to, you understand, you should know some of this. It's because you're not talking, you're not communicating with your spouse. This is what gives me the best pleasure. This is what turns me on. This is what you should talk about it. Let me read more. You say you are each other's only sexual, and we're talking about godly marriages now, not for people who have multiple partners. No, this is in marriage and godly marriage. You're not cheating, you're faithful to each other. You don't have to suffer.
Yeah, remember we said yesterday that it's within the confines of marriage, it should be pleasurable
and free.
And free.
You enjoy freedom and pleasure within the boundaries of marriage with sex. So if you're not having the pleasure, what's going on? You're not fulfilling the will of God. God intends for you, because God created sex for your pleasure, for creation, for freedom, and for all of that. So you can't just roll the dice and hope it works. There's another point that makes it different. It is importance of continuing to pursue your spouse. You know, we talked about it before. Still keep the chasing on, keep flirting. That's one thing that, you know, keeps it builds hunger, and that's one really, really important part of sex. You know, it's like the beginning of foreplay. You flirt, you still keep chasing them, continue to pursue them. It is God's design. Part of it is pursuing romance, and part of it is the way we live our lives with them every day. Now we're talking about non-verbal communication now. Here's his take on that. The better you pursue your spouse outside of the bedroom, the better your sex life in the bedroom. So what are you doing to pursue? You see? So sex, there's a lot of psychological angle to it. You can't fight all day and have good sex. That's selfish sex where the man will just do bam, 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 bam. Men always climax, men always come. Like, that's the official end of the sexual process. Yes. That when the man, you know, orgasms, when he releases his sperm, that signals the end of sex.
The end. You
understand? So for the man, whether you people are fighting and quarreling, if he taps you in the night, whether you want or not, maybe you are that kind of man. You're not the, in quote, rebellious type that if you quarrel with me, I will not allow you, like some people. so you're the kind that whether you fight or not, if he comes in the night and taps you, you just, I beg, do more, come on. But he will just, you know, do thrust in and out, and then he comes and then he goes. But you're getting frustrated. You can't continue like that. So husband, you can't continue like that. That's the kind of sex that the world knows. It's selfish. You just thrust in and out, and then you are released, and then you're gone. What about her? She has needs. She also wants to enjoy. She also wants to get to that height of release. So you must communicate. So this writer is saying the way you pursue her outside the bedroom, outside of the platform for sex, will determine how well you enjoy. So we're talking about communication now, verbal and non-verbal. So before it's time for sex, sit down, have family meeting. You know, oh guy, I want to see you. Then you talk about, let's talk about this thing. We want to enjoy it. I'm not enjoying it. You know, and then that's what I'm coming to that now. The other spouse who they are talking to, listen. You know, so you should the man especially should take the initiative to ask his wife, you know, how she likes it. You know, we established it yesterday, having sex like the world, which is selfish, which is me. I just want it, and then I go, no. Whilst the wife seeks, that's why many wives, even when they are not feeling like it, even though they are troubled, even if they are tired, even if you have abused them all day, they will still just, oh yeah, come and do. See, now they are thinking of you. Come. And some of them will say, okay, so that we'll go outside, all of this. No, that's not God's design. God's design is that you should enjoy it with all freedom and all of that. So, you know, it is meant. Wow. The network is just so crazy here. We're really sorry about that. But I was saying, in godly sex, the focus is your partner, not you. So the man should seek to satisfy his wife. The woman should seek to satisfy her husband. That is how sex should be in a marriage as God designed it. So you have to talk about it. You have to initiate it. You can't be shy. And then if there are things that your partner is not comfortable about, don't judge them. Let it go. There are lots of things that some people are not comfortable with. Like there are a lot of people who are not comfortable with oral sex. For some people, they feel there's nothing wrong with it. You can use your mouth on your husband's penis. You can use this on your vagina and all of that. For some people, it's a no, it's dirty. So if your partner feels that way about it, that's not the only way to enjoy it. There are many creative ways that are clean, that are orthodox, that you can really enjoy it. So talk about it. And if areas arise where your partner openly tells you, no, see this side, I'm not crossing it. You know, but there should be a clear-cut line. You know, we talked about perversion the other day, like, you know, anal sex. That's not natural. God, the anus is not designed for the penis. The vagina is.
In marriage, yes, you know, that will cause issues. If, like we talked yesterday about communicating while you were dating, which, well, some people were already here, some of us, so we need to now learn, unlearn, relearn certain things. Yes. But if you were talking about these things during courtship,
yes,
you know, talk to the person. How do you like it? You know, people don't like talking about these things, but you will help each other a lot to talk about that. You know, so when you know in courtship that their preferences are perverted and there are things you can't deal with,
you don't even need to come in. Yes, you don't even need to get into that marriage. We're already here, and then there are perversions. You who is practicing those perversions, you stop it by the help of the Holy Spirit. Some people who are suffering from addictions. Yeah, you know, sexual addiction is sometimes even bigger than drug addiction. So if you're suffering from addictions, you need to get help. Get counsel, ask the Holy Spirit to help you get yourself into a program and help yourself. Now, but under normal circumstances, you know, no anal sex, all of those perversions and all of that shouldn't come into play. But talk about it, you know, what you like, positions, no positions, you know, you need to talk about, especially now that you're married, there should be no shame about it. Talk about it freely so that it can be better. Communicate verbally, that's with words, and then communicate non-verbally. One other way before she reads to do non-verbal communication, you know, when you have sex, you make time for it. It's not something you rush. So that's why you shouldn't wear yourself out before you have sex. All those 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes rush and sleep, that's not how it's supposed to be. You should make time for it. And one way we're talking about is massage. When you massage, when your hands, you observe. Everybody doesn't have the same zones that turn them on. There are generals, like the nipple, like the earlobe, like the neck. Not everybody. Yeah. Some people, their breast can excite them, but you'll be shocked, their neck can excite them more. So when you do massage and all of that, you observe. That's non-verbal communication. With your hands, you do a lot of touching. With your hands, you observe, okay, this particular part of his or her body excites them more. So that when you get into the act of love making of sex, you know that you spend time there so that you get them to that height where they get to reach that, satisfying climax that they so desire, that will keep it going, that will want them more, that want you more, that will keep Oga not looking outside over the fence on the other side. So those are some of the things. Verbal communication, non-verbal communication, but these things you must do in your marriage so that you keep the fire of sex going. God wants it to keep going. Another day we'll talk about health. Some people, they have lost the desire. There are marriages that have been on for months. They haven't had sex. They haven't. They used to be really active, but now because of their health issues, diabetes, we'll get into it on another day, but we'll give it one full day. So we're talking about communication. Talk about it with words and with action, verbal and non-verbal. So you want to...
So this says sometimes it's tough to give advice because we don't know everything going on in each marriage.
Yeah.
But there are some things that can help. So we're talking about Christian marriage here and sex. So the first one says pray. Ask God to bless your sex life. Ask to have a desire for your spouse. That also sounds somehow to some people, but it's
their mind, like, how do I pray about sex? God created it. God made your genitals.
And his desire is that
you enjoy
pleasure.
With absolute freedom and the height of pleasure. So you can ask him, tell God, I want to have a fantastic sexual life with my husband. Give me desire for him. Maybe there's a lot of emotional stress going on. You no longer find him attractive. You can pray about it.
It's easy to happen, especially with women. You know how our moods change. I mean, it's scientific or biological. When you have kids or before you have kids or when you're on your period, there are all those kind of changes and all that happens with women sometimes. So it's very possible. So it's okay to pray about it. It's okay to pray about it just in case you have those kind of swings and all that. It's really okay.
So
it's
ask
not a
God
sin.
for a revival. God, revive my desire for my man.
It's not a sin, So the second one is try physical touch with your spouse. Like you already said. Did you say that? You said
massage.
It to me what we're talking about here. Massage. Sometimes you're not doing it at that time because you want sex, probably just to understand how the body works and take note of the responses that your spouse gives. Hug, kisses, caress, most of those things. All right. Caress. Okay. So be a student of your spouse. All right. Try and understand.
Learn how their body works.
And all that. Find out what makes your spouse feel sexy, and they will want to have sex. Communication. The more you talk about sex with each other, the more comfortable you will be talking about sex with each other. And the fewer problems you will have. I've already said that. So the more you talk about
it, the more comfortable you will be talking about it. So how do you talk about it? Just talk about it. That's what it means. So if you talk about it, you get to feel comfortable. You get to open up more. You can freely tell them things, what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with. It just builds that bond between you. So you just get comfortable. You can actually direct them now. When you actually get to the time of sex, you can actually direct them. Prior to this time, because you haven't talked about it, you can't tell him, touch me here. Or stay there. Maybe
it sounds very strange.
His hand just got to a part that really made very sensual. You just say, oh, stay there. I like that. I like how that feels. But you can't say that because you haven't talked about it. You don't know what the person might just think and say, okay, this one is spoiled goods that they sent to me. So the more you talk about it, the more comfortable you will become talking about it.
So if you want your wife, so this is to the men, if you want your wife to enjoy sex, he already said it, focus on her pleasure first. If she's not having an orgasm frequently, she's probably not enjoying sex. Make sure you are meeting her needs and she'll be more enthusiastic about meeting yours. Then the last one to the men says, pray for your wife and her sexual needs. Now, sometimes instead of men to pray for their wives and their sexual needs, they get offended, you know, because she's not wanting you like before, or it's not whatever. But it's okay to pray for her. Pray for your wife and her sexual needs. Okay? Ask God to make it what do we say? Ask God to make it what you want it to be. Yeah. So pray. It's in order to pray for her sexual needs. And then this is to the wives. Pray, pray as well. Pray these prayers that you would have desire for your husband, that you would have energy in the evenings, in the afternoon. It doesn't always have to be in the evening, or be alert in the morning, that he would have sex. That we would have a sex life that is fulfilling for both of us. It's simply just saying it's okay to pray. Yes, we know the video is sideways. You need to flip your own phone. Sorry, Miss Eva. So pay attention to your cycle. So that happens. I've talked about hormonal changes and all that. So pay attention to all that. Some people enjoy sex a lot, like some ladies when they are ovulating and all that. Just understand your body and, you know, try to communicate that to your spouse so you both can have a fulfilling sex life. All right. So be at peace with sex. Your husband will never stop wanting to have sex with you. All right. Your husband will never stop wanting to have sex with you. He will continue to pursue you. So if you find out what you enjoy, his pursuit will be a good thing, and not something that you will forever try to avoid. Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah. So I think the message is really clear, but the important thing is that you are communicating. Don't suffer in silence. This is a marriage, for crying out loud. You know, you see why from research, from scientific and all of that mainstream research, they have said that, you know, sex in marriage is actually the most fulfilling. Even live-in lovers don't have sex as fulfilling as married couple. Yet there are many marriages who are suffering because they are not communicating, they are not talking about it. There's nowhere else that you have as much freedom as you do to have sex. When you're dating and you're having sex, you don't have freedom. When you live in and you don't have, because you're always thinking, okay, what if this person walks away? I have everything to lose. There's just a lot of things. Okay, if I get pregnant now and he's not ready, some of those things don't happen in marriages. There's just a lot. So when in the four walls of marriage, there's total freedom. That's why sex within marriage is the most beautiful. Not the one you do when you're dating, premarital. No. Those puts you in lots of trouble, lots of stress, emotional, spiritual. There's just a whole lot. We're not even talking about the biblical reasons of maybe dishonoring and disobeying God. No, even mainstream research has shown that sex within marriage is the most fulfilling and the most beautiful. You see? So you have to talk about it. Imagine that you have such, and then your own marriage, you're not enjoying sex for one reason or the other. Maybe you have allowed your relationship to go on autopilot. Maybe now your husband is cheating, or maybe now the wife is cheating. A lot has gone on. It's time to turn around. It's time to pray about it. It's time to ask God for revival. It's time to ask God for restoration. It's time to pray to God that your partner will find you sexually attractive again, that their desire for you will just get to the peak and the pinnacle. Pray about all of that. It's okay. God is the one that designed sex, and he wants you to enjoy it maximally. Just like the Bible says, Jesus came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. So he came so that you will enjoy it to the full, maximally. So pray about it, talk about it, feel free, talk about it, communicate non-verbally, pursue your spouse, tell them you want them, show them you want them. You want action, show it. Don't wait till after everything you guys get on bed and you just tap her and then she opens her legs, you get in, get out. No, it is frustrating. There are so many wives who are frustrated. They don't know what to do. Some have resorted to using vibrators and sex toys. So when you finish, I think when you go, they go by themselves and now pleasure themselves. But that's not how, you know, the affection and whatever that they should have for you, they are now transferring to objects. And that opens the door for the enemy to attack. At that point, they can do anything. They can cheat. They can sleep out. you have just opened the door. So don't be the reason.
The focus is not you.
Don't be the reason why the enemy will attack when you open the door. No, seek to satisfy your partner. Focus on your partner. So when each other is focusing on each other, you can imagine everybody is competing to pleasure and satisfy the other. That is how it should be. That's how God made it. So communicate, talk about it, show it, react, respond. Don't pretend. There are many women that pretend to orgasm. Yeah. That's another one. So that their husband will feel like he's man. Okay. He's a man. He's man enough. Yes. Some women just pretend.
But at the end of the day,
they feign oxygen and orgasm, and then you're suffering. Yeah. You are not really climaxing. You just want him to feel like he's doing a great job. That's not. You're not doing yourself good, and you're not also helping him. He needs to know if he needs to step up his game. In fact, he needs to know if he has medical issues. You know, there are men who have premature ejaculation. Yeah. And all of that. So,
and because you're not talking,
yeah, he needs to treat it. He needs to know. He thinks if someone tells him that he has premature ejaculation, he won't believe it because you're pretending like he's making you come and all of that when you're not. So don't pretend about it. You're married to this person. You should tell them the truth in love with all grace. Talk about it, both of you. When your spouse tells you this, take it. When they tell you I don't like to cross this area, this is a no-go area, respect it. Don't judge them for it and all of that. So yes, that she will read and then we'll call it a date.
Yeah, just a few things. Okay, so these are few ways you can talk about sex with your spouse. It says pray first. Pray that God will help you understand and love each other the way he intends. Secondly, it says be honest and gentle. Remember that your goal isn't to manipulate your spouse into a certain behavior. It is to grow intimacy together. So be brave enough to be honest. Thirdly, pick the right time. Afi also said that about picking the right time. You know, some people want to talk when the man is ready for action. That's probably not the right time. He's not even hearing what you're saying.
Just looking for you to finish and
so when you and your spouse are in a good mood, when you're feeling connected, when you have the time for an intimate conversation, that's the right time. I read something else before now while we're preparing that says talk. It's not at that time when he's ready for action, but maybe over tea on the table. He's your husband. It could be another time when he can actually hear what you're saying. Okay, so even if the conversation is urgent to you, respect your spouse enough to be patient. If you think your spouse will be resistant to even talking about sex, you might want to give him or her heads up that you'd like to have a conversation sometime. Set a purpose and expectations. Clearly explain your purpose for this conversation at the beginning. It's still like he said as well. Why do you want to talk about it? Is it because there's something that is not right? It's not pleasuring you enough? Why do you want to talk about it? So let him know. Stay positive. Express your love, admiration, and gratitude for your spouse. Don't complain, but instead talk about the passion. Talk about how passionate you are for a great sex life, which is very, very important, which is what God intends for you and your spouse. Ask questions to understand. Make sure your questions are sincere and loving. It is very tempting to use questions to disguise accusations and frustrations. Okay? So that happens a lot. Yes, Lord Jesus, that happens a lot. Okay, so but your spouse isn't a fool and will quickly grow to resent these passive-aggressive attacks. Sometimes they hear what you're not saying, that you intend to say. Okay, they hear what you mean. Yeah, so you be very careful. Be sincere and be loving. Be specific and explicit. Your spouse can't read your mind. Your spouse can't read your mind. Get it? Your spouse can't read your mind. If you want something specific, you have to use actual words to say it. Okay, you have to use actual words to say it. I know it's more romantic if your spouse just knows what you want and what it
and does it without you asking.
I like that as well. Sometimes my husband says, well, how would I have known? You know, and I'm saying, but I passed behind you 3 times now. I've done like this, so you should have already known. So sometimes that happens, but it says be specific and be explicit sometimes. So what if you've done it over time and he's not understanding? So just say it, all right? Reach a conclusion before you're both exhausted. Actionable agreement. At the end of your discussion, make sure that you each know what actions you've agreed to take. Don't settle for a vague understanding that something will be different from now on. Make your agreement specific and explain. That's like saying, don't leave it on autopilot or something like that. So follow through. Now that you have made a specific and explicit agreement, you actually have to do it. If you find that your spouse isn't living up to what he or she agreed to do, you will need to have another conversation. It really meant a lot to me when you agreed to plan a date night for us each month. I can't wait to spend that time with you. So that's like,
reminding them.
That's like reminding them. We had an agreement, so it would be nice to follow through.
Yeah. So, this we're drawing the curtain here, but let's just go through it again. You have to talk about sex with your spouse. Don't suffer in silence. Yeah, for those who are having great sex life, beautiful, continue, get more creative. Don't go on, don't get perverse. There's a lot of perversion. Let's stay with the natural use, like Romans put it. Let's stay with the natural use, the penis and the vagina. Not the penis. I'm going to read it, not today, when we get into the actual act. Not the penis for the anus or another part. No, let's not go to perversion. Stay with what is natural. But there are lots of creative ways for you to enjoy sex, and then you have to talk about it. Don't make assumptions. Don't wish it will get better, because it may never get better. Your orientations are different. Even if both of you are virgins. Someone asked me last night, what if I have no experience? But you actually need no experience. From what we're talking about, you don't need to have had 10 years of sexual. If both of you are virgins, it's beautiful because you explore. You are the first to start exploring. You talk about it, you explore. You see, you leave room. In fact, your own sexual life should be more beautiful than all the people that have all the. No. You both are fresh. So you're the first person to touch those. You're the first man to discover.
It would be so interesting to learn each other.
In fact, you will look forward to the times when, because it's like discovery time. It's like discovery time. You're not going to do 5 minutes. In fact, anytime you want to have, it's like 1 hour, an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours. Imagine just exploring each other's bodies, and then it will be so beautiful. So you don't need all those people that tell you they want to test drive and all of that. All those are lies from the pit of hell. So 2 virgins can come together in marriage and know some of these things that we're trying to teach, and they will have an explosive sexual life. So today we're going to draw the curtain once again. Learn to talk about it. Don't be shy. Be honest. Be explicit. Don't be judgmental. Don't do all of that, but just with with your partner in mind, that you're doing this so that you can have a great sexual life together with your partner. It will guide you on how to talk. You won't be harsh. You'll be gentle. You'll be honest, and all of that. So we pray that you will start to talk about it, and some of the things you have been suffering will come to an end, because maybe they really don't know. Honestly, they don't know.